Hello again, and welcome to this interview in the series that is all about empowering a league of extraordinary mothers on how to use the power of food to get more energy, a body we love, and that zest for life that we crave. Today, we are blessed to have the beautiful Brenda Janschek with us. She's a qualified health coach, blogger of recipes and lifestyle advice, and a passionate advocate for women's and children's health. And alongside this, she's keeping busy raising her own tween and teen. Thank you so much for being with us, Brenda.
Thank you, Edwina. It's great to be here.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I've been going through all your beautiful website and blog posts and on social media, and there's just a wealth of knowledge. So I'm going to try and pick your brain while we've got our time together. Can we please start with, your story and how you came to be doing the work that you do?
When you were just saying how you were going through my website, I was just kind of sitting here going, yeah, there would be a lot on there because I've been doing it for like 5 or 6 years now. I haven't got the best sense of time, but, I've been blogging pretty consistently, recipes and lifestyle tips for such a long time now, and I absolutely love it. But before I was doing this, I was in the entertainment industry. I was in a totally different line of business, running my own business. And, I had been with my husband for a very, very long. We've been together for over 25 years. We met really young. And, life was going really well. We were happy. We were in love. My business was really successful. I was a successful casting director. I had my own business, as I said. And then we thought, I think I was, 29. Let's start a family. So, it was just the next logical step. We'd been together for how long by then? For about 9 years. So, it was really easy for me to fall pregnant. I fell pregnant straight away. We were traveling in Europe, and then, weird stuff started to happen. I'd never experienced it before. I started bleeding. I started feeling unwell. And, you never forget these things. And sort of, I'm not surrounded by familiarity. I was in a foreign country and really confused about what was going on. And I had to, see doctors there. And in a nutshell, I basically lost that first pregnancy. And it's, I was around 8 to 10 weeks. Yeah. But it's interesting. It's not something you forget. It's something that I will grieve for the rest of my life, and certainly grieved at the time, and will never forget that. My first child is pretty much how I feel like it. So that was really difficult, but when we got back, I had to have a curette and, go through the whole stress of that. But it was like, okay, when we were able to, let's start again. So having lots of fun trying, and months are passing, 6 months, 8 months. Start sort of Googling what's going on. It's taking a lot longer than I expected. But apparently, you got to wait a year before you do anything about it. So, a year comes and it's like, okay, I think we need to go and see the doctor. We're not falling pregnant. It's not happening. Anyway, so they had no answers, Edwina, and so we kept on going. Another 6 months passed, 8 months, and you can imagine by now we're pretty desperate. We so badly want to have this baby. Nothing's happening. There are no answers. Go back to the doctor. They send us to specialists, run some tests. They can't find anything. And they basically say that, it's an unexplained infertility, and to consider IVF as an option. So there I was, sort of, 31 years of age, 32, and staring down the barrel of IVF going, surely there's got to be, it's the first time I sort of questioned life in this sort of bigger way. Surely there's got to be more to it. There's got to be more answers. There's got to be more that we haven't explored, because IVF seemed like quite an extreme jump from, no answers for infertility to IVF. So then that's when I became a research addict that I still am today. And I discovered a natural fertility centre close to home, and my husband agreed that we could, go and look at that as an option. And so that is where I went under the care of the most incredible naturopath. I'd never, ever had, this sort of holistic alternative kind of help before. And this is where it was incredible. They ran all different tests. They approached it completely differently. So basically, we were put on a very strict organic diet. We were put on supplements. We discovered things like I was anemic. Nobody tested me for that. I had been vegetarian for 16 years. And, not doing it properly, Edwina, because I was none the wiser. I was doing it for moral reasons. Yeah. So not really eating in a really healthy, balanced vegetarian way. So I had become, anemic, but not just because of that. They discovered, had endometriosis. They sent my husband to another specialist, and they discovered some issues with him. So his sperm, low motility, the morphology, there were all these sorts of issues that, like, all of a sudden, it's starting to make more sense. Yeah. Our diet was completely integral to this program. We were told about how alcohol was affecting our fertility. We were told about how trans fats, things that we had never considered before. We were young, we were living it up, we were having a great time. I had grown up with an ethnic family where we didn't eat out a lot. My parents were immigrants, so we had humble homemade meals made by my mum all the time. But as soon as you sort of get out in the world and you're on your own, it's like, you're eating whatever, drinking. Oh my God, I could drink any bloke under the table, Edwina, I swear. Not thinking twice about it. Not even sort of putting the pieces of the puzzle together. I was always tired as well. I was always having a nap. I was always exhausted. Didn't even consider that it would have anything to do with the food that I was eating or not eating. So it was through this incredible program of eating real foods, not just eliminating, things like low fat, and going to whole foods, whole milk, whole foods, whole grains rather than processed grains, but flooding our bodies with really important things. I didn't know about the importance of eating oysters because zinc was really important part of fertility. I didn't know about eating green leafy vegetables or increasing vegetables and fruit and vegetables, as this was really important part to reduce the inflammation in my body for every cell in my body for the sake of fertility. So it was a bit confronting for my husband, and he did sneak in the odd, vodka or two during the time, but we sort of became healthy weight. My naturopath, who was vegetarian at the time, sat me down and just said, look, you're going to have to actually eat some good quality meat. Yeah. She's like, your body cannot absorb iron. It's not, because we tried with supplements first. Yeah. She's like, the most easily absorbed form of iron is going to come from your lamb or your beef. Yeah. That was hard, but I've never looked back. Like, just all of these, it just, honestly, Edwina, it blew my mind what I learned through the darkest period of my life to date. Because it still took us another 2 years after that, but we were finally able to conceive what I still call my miracle boy. I never thought that I would, ever during that period be able to sit here today and say, not only do I have one amazing child, I've got two. And it was honestly all through the power of food and lifestyle. Yep. And just the right knowledge as well. Yeah. And so that was it for me. That was it. I became so incredibly passionate about everything to do with food. Yeah. And I then immersed myself in, all those summits of all those experts, all the food summits, research. It was incredible and overhauled, changed my life and my husband's life. And then after my son was born, sadly my pregnancy was difficult and the birth was very, very hard. And I suffered from postnatal depression and anxiety and insomnia and all sorts of things after that. So I had to become well again and strong again before I felt that I was able to translate everything that I was so passionate about into work. So when I became, strong, because it's a process, the health is not like, it's not some final destination that we're all trying to reach. It's a process. Things come up, life comes up, and you just got to work with that. And with the knowledge that I've accumulated and with the practitioners that I'd surrounded myself with, I was able to address those issues that I just mentioned, plus more. I mean, I've had other things crop up. And then I started to become a health coach and opened up my business. And honestly, Edwina, every single day doing what I do brings me so much joy. Every email I receive from somebody who I've helped in a big or small way. The power of food, it's something to be celebrated, honestly. And in combination with lifestyle, education, it's just, there's nothing more powerful for us as women in terms of our health, and a gift to give to our families and our friends as well. So
your passion is just so contagious. I just love it. And it does come, I'm just interviewing expert after expert after expert after expert, and they all have this story. They all have something that was that, being unwell, going through a system that couldn't resolve it, finding this kind of real food, changing lifestyle, prescription, which is kind of what it's become. And then, going on this journey of helping other people to do the same. And I love it.
Look, this is the interesting thing. Yeah. There is always a trigger, right?
Yep.
But I went to the premiere of Transcendence. Have you heard of that? It's the Food Matters amazing 5-part documentary that's coming out. Yep. And I was having this conversation with the girlfriend that I brought about, she was saying about her friend who had a heart attack, or, this person my friend who had a brain tumor, or, this woman who's experienced infertility for much longer. And even though everyone you've spoken to has had some trigger to get them on their path to wellness, my passion is preventative health, is not to have to people do not need to hit rock bottom with their health or hit the wall, as I have a few times, before they address their health. It's so important to prevent that from happening so that you can have this, beautiful, vital, energetic life without breaking apart first. I know that I don't regret what happened to me, because I may not have found this path. But, I would prefer to get the message out that, there's a way to avoid this. Let's look after ourselves and let's look after our children. Nobody wants their children to go through that, Edwina. No. I wouldn't wish that on anybody, let alone my children. If that's their journey, then that's their journey. But we can do so much to avoid disease, to avoid illness, and that's what I like to do. That's what I like to do in my work every single day.
I just need to type that out. You have summed up exactly what I'm trying to achieve with this whole show and the different series. So the first one was with teenage girls, and this one's about the mums. But ultimately, the heart of what I'm wanting to do is empower mums with this knowledge so we can lay this foundation in our kids. And when they leave home, they have the information. They don't have to go through this years of, I call it outsourcing our health. Our health starts at home with the way we eat, the way we sleep, the way we, it's all the basics. It's basic.
You know what? It's basic. But when I tell my story, what I just told you, my parents, God bless, they were doing the best that they could. They didn't know either. They didn't understand about how the importance of food. So while I was lucky enough to be fed nutritious homemade food just by default and by necessity, the education wasn't there. Whereas modern women, you and I, we are hopefully in a non-confrontational way, because kids can be tricky, instilling these ideas and instilling this information so that they understand and they are able to carry that on with them through life. absolutely, they're going to rebel. I see it in my teen and I see it in my tween, but they know, they listen to their body. They know when enough's enough.
Yep.
They know, and they naturally want nourishing food. It's just what they're used to.
Yeah.
So, but we do have these conversations, not over the dinner table, because I'm a firm believer that we just don't want to get too heavy about serious food issues while we're sitting all together. It should be happy time. It should be just, you know, talking about your day. There should be joy and connection when we're eating together. But so many opportunities when we're cooking together, when we're, you know, just discussing things like, you know, things we talk about. We talk about sugar. We talk about, you know, what this particular vegetable, like, you know, when you've got teens and tweens, they're complaining about their skin. It's opportunities to talk about the beautiful benefits of vitamin E in avocado, or eating pepitas for the zinc, which really helps with skin. You know, it's approaching it at their level and carefully. And you know what? I wish that I had that information, you know, growing up as a child.
Yeah, absolutely. And if all these things that we will face, because we do face, it's that whole idea that health is a journey, it's not a destination. There's always going to be things that crop up. But the idea that we can look at rejigging things in our diet or lifestyle tweaks rather than just going for a prescription, going for a pill, that is the message that we're trying so hard to instill in our kids, or in this house.
Well, and to that also, it's not even, we change. Like I'm constantly having to listen to my body, Edwina. I think we've lost the skill of being intuitive and understand, and you know, like you said before, outsourcing everything. So we're kind of forgetting that we're our own best doctor. We know our bodies best. Teaching our children to be in tune with their bodies as well, and listening. And it's biofeedback from your body. You know, that little twinge in the shoulder, the little, you know, this constant runny nose, the mild headache, that's your body saying, hey, listen up. This is just a little tap on the shoulder, but I'm going to start to really roar if you don't do something about it. It's also then and then. So Edwina, once we listen and once we go, okay, something's going on here, we've got to understand that it's going to take a little bit of courage and trial and error to, you know, change things and tweak things. Because, yes, okay, so I eat basically a whole foods diet. This is what I feed my family. This is what I eat. But it doesn't stay the same all the time. I'm not eating, you know, if I'm menstruating, I'm eating differently from, you know, the other time of the month. If I'm, you know, sick or something's come up, I just listen to my body. I listen to my nutrition intuition, and I tweak and change, and I know how to do that to suit me and to explore and discover and find what fits right with me for that time. So it's not going to be the same the whole way through. Some days, Edwina, I just need that glass of red wine and that dark chocolate, and I'm going to have it, by God. You know what I mean? And then other days I'm just not interested. So, or that gelato with the kids, you know, or whatever it is. But overall, you know, our diet's 100% organic, you know, because I'm really, really conscious about pesticides. I learned this through the fertility centre, and, you know, fungicides and chemicals and all that sort of thing. And it's all, you know, there's hardly any processed packaged foods, which was another big eye-opener, you know. Back then when we were told, you know, about the things that we should remove from our diet. And, you know, we don't really have packaged food. I do make the choice to dedicate myself to preparing food from scratch. I'm only human. It's very funny. People kind of go, oh, you know, we're inviting Brenda over. What am I going to make? But it's so funny to me, Edwina, because I know I'm a recipe blogger, but it's just, I'm not a great cook. It's just basic stuff that my family likes. I'm not slaving over the oven or the stove. I mean, who's got time for that, honestly? Yeah. It's not gourmet. It's, you know, sausages and mash and steamed vegetables. And sometimes, you know, it's a pie, a chicken leek mushroom pie. My kids love that. That's on my blog. But, you know, I'm just creating recipes that I know are easy for busy mums, that families will like, that, you know, my kids love, that other kids who come over enjoy. So just keeping it simple is really important to remember as well. And you don't have to be a gourmet chef, but I have made the conscious choice that I'm going to make food from scratch, and my kids are going to help me too. So that really helps. Trust me, if you've got young kids, get them in the kitchen, because when they're older, they're going to be such a big help to you. Because my kids are such a big help to me. With just, basic food prep, cooking, getting themselves their own meals, and I know they're not going to starve. If I wasn't around, I know they're going to know how to eat healthy, beautiful, nutritious meals on their own.
Yeah, it's an absolute lifesaver. My 3 eldest are all teenagers now, and they can all put a really nourishing meal on the table, and they do.
Yes, it's not just a lifesaver, it's a life skill. It's a skill that's being lost, sadly, and we really need to start to revive it and bring it back into the homes. It's of utmost importance. But isn't it wonderful? I'm glad you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely. And their sense of independence and being able to care for themselves is, these little things. It's so important.
Yeah, it all adds up. And the sense of pride, Edwina, when they actually serve what they've made, like, even though sometimes, especially with my older boy who's, not interested in anything except golf anymore, but when he does sort of go, oh, okay, I'll help, and then creates, and it tastes good, he cannot help the pride that's all over his face. He loves it.
Okay, so let's look at I've talked before about how within these shows, the series, there's these themes that keep coming up. And one of the themes that was very, very strongly kept coming up in the first series was all about anxiety. And we see this it's very predominant in our teenage girls particularly. But it's not just them, it's we mums, and the conversations that I'm having, women, more and more we have these depression and anxiety, and our mental health is not where it should be. And I know that that's part of your story as well. So if you are happy to talk about that a little bit, and what that looks like for you and how you manage that in your life, I think that would be really valuable.
Thanks, Edwina. So important, and I'm so passionate about talking about this, and it's incredible. Whenever I do post something on social or on my blog, the response is overwhelming. Yeah. So that's why I'm really happy to share. I wasn't always, because it can be really private, but now I feel it empowers and inspires other women, and having that sort of empathy really helps as well. So I did touch on it. After my son was born, I had postnatal depression. Nothing went right for me. Breastfeeding was a nightmare. He got pneumonia when he was born because they left me dilated. I had an emergency Caesar, this horrific story. He got pneumonia, was taken away from me, was given a dummy, which was something I never wanted to do. All these sorts of things. And I really did break down after trying to conceive for so long, difficult pregnancy, difficult breastfeeding, the whole thing, and became a severe insomniac as a result, severely depressed, and realised that I had probably always suffered anxiety, but in a way it had served me in a positive way before I had children. It turned me into sort of a successful businesswoman because everything was just right, and I was always anyway. It's kind of complicated, but I didn't know that I had it until after I had conceived. So feeling so incredibly lost. So he was my miracle boy, and I wasn't able to experience the joy that I had expected, and everyone around me became judgmental, like, oh, because everyone around you goes through that dark journey with you. Finally, she's got what she wants, and look at her, she's falling apart. I mean, this is what happens around you, all that sort of judgment. Tried to figure out what was going on, even went to see psychologists and practitioners, and, it's really hard sometimes to find the right one.
Yeah.
But eventually I found this incredible psychiatrist who diagnosed me correctly. Within 10 minutes, I connected with her really quickly. And that was it. I started on, I started on cognitive behaviour therapy, which I really, really recommend. It pretty much saved my life, Edwina.
Yeah.
I did also have to go to the sleep disorders clinic. My insomnia was so bad. So it was things like getting out into the daylight in the early morning, walking. It was having a regular night routine, morning routine. So going to bed the same time, getting up the same time, all this sleep hygiene stuff, dark room, earplugs, mask, all these things I still do, I still have to do. Yep. And the psychiatrist taught me about the importance of breath work, which is probably the strongest, most powerful tool for me from day to day, that it's really easy for me to use. And it just calms me down because, I am one of these stressy women. So while I consider myself healed, I still have that tendency to, definitely not for depression, but the anxiety is still there. So I do have to use these tools. There are little triggers that can happen.
Yeah.
Food was something that I investigated on my own. It wasn't something the psychiatrist helped me with. So she did stuff like self-talk, which again, oh my God, I don't know if you use it or if you've ever used it. I don't know where I'd be without it. So really just calming myself down with self-talk, with the breathing, doing those things for my insomnia. And then I integrated the food component. Of course, my natural diet's already going to be rich in the things that I need to calm myself down. But it's things like, things that I learned, like turmeric, for example, is really, really great for reducing inflammation. And inflammation can be heightened in people who suffer from anxiety, for example. So having lots of turmeric daily in my diet. I love the taste, so I have it in the food form. Yep. Things like, again, pepitas, so powerful. The zinc is really essential for brain function. And in particular, it affects those brain regions that are involved with mood and emotions as well. And everyone knows the importance of eating fatty fish, the omega-3s, again, to reduce inflammation and important with brain function and just all those sorts of things. So addressing the anxiety holistically. And recently, I think you also interviewed Naomi Judd. I found an amazing blog post she did on how hormones affect anxiety as well. So, there's so much that we can do for that. And I really, 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 really recommend starting somewhere, just picking one and starting, because you don't have to live, it's impossible to live like that. And you can be preventative about it. And then if you experience it, you can lower the symptoms pretty quickly by using quite a few of those techniques that I've mentioned. And always, every day you can be doing something about it by using food.
Yeah. I do talk a lot about how there's several pieces to this whole wellness puzzle. And whilst food is absolutely integral, it is so, so, so important to everything that we're trying to achieve. There's, when you talk about the sleep hygiene and all those other bits, they're all really important and, just as important. And one of the pieces you talked a bit before about having a gelato with the kids or around celebrations. And, I do as well have that thing where I feel like people are always watching what I eat.
Oh, no.
I guess it's quite natural. But if I'm going to a wedding or a birthday party or whatever it is, I am there to celebrate and be with my tribe, and the food is almost irrelevant. It is that community and that celebration. It's equally part of, as long as we're not celebrating and, living on champagne. I'm not saying that's...
Doesn't sound too bad to me, Edwina. I'll join you.
Maybe not 365 days a week. Just
what I honestly can say, I have evolved. I keep on evolving on my wellness journey. And having witnessed and seen things with my own children, having seen so many mums in my courses and one-on-one, where I've landed right now, and this is a whole other subject, but I will just say I am really passionate about spreading the message about food guilt and how it is so detrimental to everything that, you know, I'm trying to do, that we as wellness warriors are trying to do. Food guilt, food pressure, labels. It's been hard because I have been that person who's hardcore and dogmatic, because that's how I am naturally. It's been really confronting. It's been a lot of inner work to kind of look at it objectively and see the signs of, oh, why is my child hiding that, you know, thing that they're throwing in the bin? It's a packet of whatever. Oh my God, like what a wake-up call. That's the last thing that I wanted to achieve in all of this. So that's where I'm at right now. I'm still exploring it. It's a fine line, Edwina. I'm still trying to find how to balance it all out. But yeah, I feel so much better to have taken a step back and to be readdressing the way I talk about food and how I talk about food with my children and teaching my clients to do the same. And I have to say, overall, so far, it's had a much more positive effect than my prior approach.
Yeah, well, it's, you know, this idea around food, and I've been exactly the same. Don't you worry. My eldest son, who's now 19, you know, I couldn't give him cake on his first birthday. He had, you know, sugar-free yogurt. Was like, I've you know, like I've been there. So, but I do now also just try to look at food, or I do look at food. It's what we're doing every day. It's 90% of the time. How we think about it has, you know, it's just, it shouldn't be this dogmatic, it's hard, I have to suffer through this. Food should be a joy. It's supposed to be a joy.
And it is a joy, and its power should be celebrated. It's just, you know, I just, you know, I'm just sitting here just feeling so loved up about food. I live to eat as well. Like the French, there's a saying, you know, you either eat to live, but I think the French say they live to eat, and I'm a bit like that. Frenchie at heart, for sure. So I love food.
So let's look at, you've got a fabulous post that's thinking outside the cereal box. And I'm asking lots of the speakers about breakfast, because I think that this is one meal that needs tweaking in many homes. And that getting, you know, how do we eat if we don't have a cereal box to eat in 3 seconds? So if you are happy to talk about that for a minute, and I'll also get you to share your favourite brekkie for inspiration.
Sure. So marketers and the power of the food industry telling us we don't have time. Yes, it's true. We are all really busy, but cereal is about, you know, the ultra convenience and healthy cereal with, you know, enriched this and that. It's all just about marketing. I always like to say that you're better off, probably you get more nutrition from the box than you will from what's inside the box. So highly processed, so full of anti-nutrients, so detrimental to our health. Nothing really good to offer in a box of cereal, particularly the ones that are marketed to children, which are always higher in salt, higher in sugar, being tested for bliss points that, you know, make it addictive, like many other processed foods. Look, if this is all totally new to you, I would say, if you're going to have to do cereal, get some Weet-Bix, but get some good quality milk, put the milk on it, get some berries, get some yogurt, at least put some nutrition in there. Just have that Weet-Bix as sort of the carrier. But it really doesn't take much longer than pouring out cereal and adding in some milk to literally fry up an egg. It's honestly a couple of minutes. And while that egg is frying, you can pop in some sourdough into the toaster. And, you know, so one of my kids' probably favourite breakfast. Well, I have heaps in that. I've got a free Think Outside the Cereal Box ebook. And so there's 10 fantastic recipes. And on my blog, I've got heaps of recipes. And in my social, I'm always sharing like beautiful smoothies. You can do banana breads, bliss balls. But my kids will probably, absolute favourite would be a good quality sourdough. They're not all created equal, so just make sure you're getting a good one, with some avocado, and they would love either scrambled eggs, fried eggs, poached eggs, which is just the most incredible way to start the day. But I'll always add in some veggies. I've actually got a blog post saying how to include veggies into breakfast, easily include veggies into breakfast. So I'll chop up some rocket and some basil and some baby spinach and put that on top of the avocado, slices of tomato, and then put the egg. They'll also love it with fried halloumi. So that's probably their favourite of all the breakfasts. Just this morning, for example, I'd made up some strawberry chia jam. I had some yogurt. I had some healthy chocolate granola, and my husband had made some poached apples on the weekend. So I just, like, that took a little bit of prep work, Edwina, because there's always meal planning on the weekend. But to throw that together in the morning, I just made a parfait. I just layered it all up. I mean, that looks like the best, like, treat in the world. When you sit down to have that, there's chocolate and strawberries and yogurt, yum. So that's what they had this morning. But they do prefer, my son prefers a savoury breakfast. My daughter doesn't mind that sort of more not so savoury. So heaps of ideas. There's so many things you can do that are really leftover sausages. I do like baked beans, crack the egg on it, bake it like while everyone's getting ready, and I'm doing lunch boxes, pull it out of the oven, and voila, it's ready to go. And there are so many different ideas. Breakfast muffins, and you just got to think outside the square, or the cereal box, as I say.
It actually, I think once you start doing this, you realise it actually doesn't take that much time to do a basic kind of egg and avocado and maybe a salad. When we connected on here and the video went live and I looked at your house, it's like, I want to come and live in your house. It's gorgeous. Now I want to come and eat in your house too.
People say that to me a lot. They look at my Instagram and they're like, do you do delivery? You're very welcome, Edwina, anytime. I'd love to have you.
All right. So I'm just trying to think. I got so carried away with all that breakfast and thinking about that's great. What are your sort of top tips for mums in weight loss and, wanting to get off that bandwagon of fad diets and so on? What are your top tips?
Okay, so again, I've come sort of almost full circle with this. It's the real reason. What I really insist on is to sit down and figure out exactly why you want to lose weight. I have a really big issue with the fact that through marketing, through advertising, and now so powerfully through social media, we're bombarded as women with one ideal image type. That, we can talk about the history of patriarchal society and where this ideal came from. So there's not one healthy body type. You can be overweight based on, this ideal and be incredibly healthy. So right now for me, it's like, what is your real reason? Exploring that for wanting to lose weight, because there's so much pain and suffering that occurs through looking through those feeds, and that's all we see is these slim bodies. And I celebrate the women out there, and I'm following them now, who are being real. And it's because often on Instagram, on social media, that there's certain light, there's certain angles, we're not necessarily seeing the true representation of these ideals anyway. So it's about exploring, firstly, the real reason you want to lose weight. And I absolutely 100% support weight loss for health reasons. And I do support that in my work. So I have no issue with that, and yes, applaud people who want to do it. But we know that we've just got to be careful, because weight loss can lead, being obsessed with weight loss can lead to that sort of weight cycling. It can be a hell of a lot more detrimental to your long-term health. So we've got to be really, really careful about the reasons why and the goals. So in my work with women who do want to lose weight, it's always about setting that goal, setting that goal correctly, understanding the goal from a feelings, from an emotional point of view, not I want to lose weight so that I can look good in the bikini. Yeah. For me, it's like I want to lose weight so that why do you want to look good in the bikini? Constantly asking why gets you to the real reason why that's important to you. And we hear things like, you know, I want to be able to enjoy my grandchildren, keep up with them, run with them on the beach. I want to be able to, even if it is to feel confident and comfortable in my body, you know, so that I can have longevity, for example. So it's about how you want to feel and how you want to be. And then from that point, we can address it from, you know, a hormone. You got to address it holistically as well, Edwina. There's no sort of, I guess my tips would be set the goal correctly, find your real reason for wanting to lose weight. Make sure you look at your hormones, because the imbalance there can be causing so many issues. It's not just diet and exercise. I would always say, you know, looking at removing processed foods 100% from your diet and flooding your diet with really beautiful, nutritious food that is well balanced, getting those macronutrients right for you, and, you know, eating foods that are going to help you feel full, fuller for longer, and that support all the systems of your body is really important as well. There's so much to explore when it comes to that, though. So yeah, it is a very big picture, and it really does need a holistic approach. All those things we've already talked about, you know, sleep, anxiety, you know, the stress hormones, and all those things can really have a big impact on your weight and your overall health.
And yeah, energy is a big one. I mean, I carried about 20 extra kilos for many years from, you know, like late teens onwards. And I've always felt like I couldn't exercise. I couldn't move. I certainly couldn't run. And when I lost that weight, the ability to actually move and my energy and things, it's just it was profoundly different.
Oh, well, it's like a vicious circle, because you couldn't exercise. And I'm like, you know, we exercise for more than weight loss. Exercise is just important, full stop. Yeah. And so you can't exercise if you're carrying all that weight and you have no energy. But then when you finally lose the weight, then you can exercise, and it is absolutely the most powerful thing for your well-being then. And then it's just sort of, you know, feeds on itself in that way. So I totally get it. And that is probably one of the biggest energy, or lack of, is probably one of the biggest issues that I hear about now from the women who come to see me or join my programs, for sure. Yeah.
Well, we barely touched on that with you, and it's a big part of this summit, but it's certainly being well discussed, and it is that multifactorial approach, isn't it? It's not just one thing. But if you had one suggestion, because we've only got a couple of minutes literally left, what gives you energy? What is your one tip?
I would honestly say that food is the number one thing that gives me energy. Even just this morning, wasn't feeling 100%, just, you know, for whatever. Yesterday, as I said to you when we started the conversation, I just couldn't get on top of yesterday. It was so intense. It was so full on. So I woke up a bit tired, and my instinct, I could feel it. It was just saying, you need some good fat and protein this morning. Just like, I was craving it. I was absolutely craving it. And it totally got me back to square one. It set me straight. So for me, 100%, getting the right nutrition, the right balance, listening to your body, food for energy is my number one tip, without a doubt.
Yeah. It's a bit of a self-love thing, isn't it? I mean, we can look at it just as food, but also it's just loving yourself by, you know, taking the time to feed yourself well in the morning. It makes a huge difference to how
my day, just like any other woman's day that I know. It's crazy. It's insane. I mean, trying to work, and oh my God, I'm a homemaker. My kids are number one. I stop everything to take them everywhere, help them, support them, feed them. But I can't do any of that unless I'm looking after myself. And I know, because when I haven't looked after myself, I've hit the wall and I fall apart, and there's nothing wrong with it, because then I feel how they have to look after me, and I'm so grateful, and it's so beautiful to see that they are able to look after me. But we can't sustain that, Edwina. We have to be well to be able to do all of these things. So there's no choice in the matter, really, and I do make myself a priority. And if I feel, and sometimes things get on top of me now, and I let things go, like I sacrifice certain things, but soon enough I'm aware that that's happening, and I have learned how to ask for help. It's taken so much practice to ask for help and to say no. Gosh, that's a hard one, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I'm so much better at it, and everyone else is better off for it as a result.
That's perfect. I know you've got a little gift for our audience. Have you got a minute to tell us about that, please?
I sure do, because it's really related to, when we talk about weight loss, when we talk about energy, when we talk about this, us as modern mums, this is such a biggie, Edwina. It's so important. Our cortisol which is our stress hormone, which is triggered by physical and emotional stresses in our life. It's out of control. We need it. We need our cortisol to, for certain functions. Of course it's there. Like, it's that fight or flight response for anybody who doesn't know about it. But it actually also helps us be more responsive to our environment. It gives us energy. But we are all existing in a chronic state of stress. I don't need to tell you this. We all know what it feels like. I know what it feels like. And this is just the modern world, and this is a whole other big conversation. There's so many conversations to be had, aren't there, Edwina? But this sort of existing at this level of cortisol is making women put on weight, especially around the middle. It's causing skin issues. It's really causing issues with our immune system. A lot of women come to me saying they eat well, they exercise, but they're constantly getting sick. This is where a lot of anxiety is coming from. I know it does for me. High blood pressure. So it's a big worry. So you're constantly in this, anxious sort of stressed out state and experiencing some of those symptoms. So what we need to do is calm our cortisol. And we do this mainly through exercise, not too much of it though. Yeah. We do it also through stress reduction techniques, and food is another big one. So what I have done is I've put together this free ebook. Everyone can just download it. When you're going to share the link, Edwina? Yeah. They can just download it, and I've got 7 beautiful calming recipes in there, like my citrus berry smoothie, because vitamin C helps with, inflammation. I go through everything and why the recipes are really beneficial. What else have I got in there? I'm trying to remember. I've got a beautiful porridge, because oats are really good for reducing stress. I've got a hormone balancing granola, just and it would be my wish that everyone starts to sort of include just these 7 recipes, just to start to address this hormonal imbalance. So it's really great. I hope everyone enjoys it. And I talk a little bit I explain cortisol a little bit more in that ebook as well. It's a really gorgeous little ebook.
That's perfect. I'll be downloading it for sure.
Yeah, there's some gorgeous recipes in there for sure.
Thank you so much for being on this series and for sharing your wisdom. It's been a fantastic interview, and I just can't wait to share it.
Thank you so much for having me and for creating this this series to empower the modern women. I can't thank you enough for that. We all get together to do this amazing work, and hopefully we see change happen, because it really does need to happen.
Yeah, it's exciting. The shift is happening. It's happening.
Yeah, it's that groundswell, you can feel it happening. It is. The conversation's definitely changing, Edwina.
It's exciting. Yay. All right. Hopefully we'll have you back. We'll do another show and yeah, we'll have you back for the next series.
I look forward to spreading the word, Edwina. Thanks for having me.
Bye for now.
Bye.